Hi, and welcome to Healthier Family Relationships. I'm so excited for this day because we are going to talk about your health. It is so crucial if you want to manage a successful professional life and if you want to have quality time with your family, you need good health. And that's why we're going to talk more about this topic with Kirsten. Thank you very much for being with us. And please introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. I'm very grateful. My name is Kirsten Liebelt, and I have lived in Minnesota in the United States my entire life. And well, mostly little stint in South Dakota, but mainly Minnesota. I have three adult children, and their ages are 32, 29, and 26. And I have one grandson who's 6 months old.
That's good. You're officially grandma.
Yes, I know. It's so
That's good.
fun.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
So please tell us what should be the routine? What should be a parent's routine to have good health?
Well, it's been kind of my own story actually. When I was raising my kids, I'm Italian, and so a lot of the foods that I ate growing up in the United States were not great. Like everything was white flour, a lot of pasta, as you can imagine, and I learned maybe a lot of poor eating habits, let's just say that. And so when I was raising my kids, I kind of incorporated that a lot into how I was raising them. But the thing is that while I was, eating poorly, and like I always tell people, I was like the original hot mess express. I was addicted to Snicker bars and napping on my living room floor as I was raising my kids. And I didn't take really great care of myself like in my 30s. And then it wasn't until my 40s that I realized the impact that that was having on my hormones. And so when you kind of upset the apple cart with your hormones, you maybe you're fatigued, maybe you have anxiety, depression, maybe you can't sleep well at night. Your brain can get really foggy. And there is a direct connection with food and with the way that you're supplementing your body because we're not taking in all of the things that we need. Well, so as I kind of talked to a lot of women about that, I realized that we have become this processed food universe where we eat so much processed food and we get very far away from the original source of the food. And I am not a perfect eater. I was never a health nut. I was never a granola person. If anybody knows what that term is, that was not me. I was eating the Snicker bars and drinking all the coffee creamer and loving all the sugar and the white flour. That was me and my upbringing. And so even still today, I enjoy a lot of really great things. I've just kind of, I think the first step is to begin to find your alternatives to your processed food and start trading them out one at a time. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin to make those steps so that your body can function at a higher level so that you have the energy to do all of the things that you want to do and all of the things that you want to have within your family unit. So that's kind of my overall thought process with that.
Yes, and it is important to be able to replace because sometimes when people say, okay, I'm going to eat healthy, they just stop eating, their processed food, and then they say, oh, I'm starving. I'm starving. There is nothing to eat. And then they go back to the processed food. So that's why it is important to replace. So, for example, I know that I'm following you on Instagram and you have so much advices about how to do, you have some content you putting, you're showing what to put together and everything. So what should be, because, many people who are watching are professional. So to have, that energy to be able to function, what should be the first meal? What would be the first meal and what time is it good? I know that for me, I was searching around and they say that it's good to have the first meal before 9 a.m. 9
Mhm.
a.m. is good. So what is your perspective on that? What should be the first meal to have good health and to be able to perform during the day, and at what time?
Well, when it comes to like in America, we are very prone to eating like a lot of cereals and a lot of processed foods right away in the morning. And it is just a recipe for like spiking the sugars in your body and then just crashing. And so what happens then is that your insulin is crashing in the morning, and all of a sudden you're exhausted, or all of a sudden you're tired again. And that is just, then you begin like on this cycle, this roller coaster, when the truth is that maybe a lot of the things that we've been marketed to about, the most important meal of the day is breakfast, and you should, it's heart healthy to eat, processed cereal and whatever. Actually, I think a lot of those things were brought forth by industries that were promoting their own product. And so what I have found for myself now, I started I'll combine the two in my conversation, but I started supplementing at 45. So before 45, I wasn't giving my kids supplements, and I wasn't supplementing because I didn't understand the need. Number two, I didn't even start changing out my foods until I was about 51, and I'm 56 now. So my point in saying that to people is that you don't have to come from a perfect background, and you don't have to, it's never too late. So, having said that, what I now incorporate as of my 56-year-old self is I actually don't get up and have breakfast right away. I allow my body to do a little bit of intermittent fasting so that it has time to completely digest from the day before. I drink a lot of water. But then when I do have something to eat, I'm eating more protein. I'm eating more, like maybe I'm going to have eggs, and I'm going to, because again, egg is a real food, comes from a chicken. It's a real food. It's not processed. You can't make an egg. An egg is given to you, by God through the chicken, right? So eggs, and then maybe, thinking in terms of like vegetables or something like that. But I stay away from a lot of, I don't do the cereals, I don't do the bagels, I don't do the muffins, because all of that is just processed. It spikes your sugars and then you crash. And when you're constantly doing that to your body begins to store more fat. You begin to have less energy, and probably you're really foggy and you're not feeling very great. And when you combine that with women and our hormones, it's kind of a bad recipe. So for the first meal, personally, I just choose a lot of protein and vegetables, and I kind of go from there. It doesn't mean I never have a treat. It just means that I do not subscribe to the average American diet. Whatever our food pyramid is, I kind of flip it upside down a little bit. That's what I do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and yes. The first part, and the second part is what time? Because you say you do intermittent
Right.
fasting, so what time?
I do. I do. So I probably eat right around now, like for right now in my time zone, it's about 11 a.m. So 11 a.m., noon, that's actually when I eat, usually for the first time for the day. And I want to fuel my body. I don't want to eat just to eat. I want to fuel my body. That's my whole thought process. So I kind of eat between the hours of like 11 and 7. That's kind of how I do that for myself. And it really actually makes my body function better, because then it's not always working so hard to digest food. It's actually being fueled. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, I understand. And I think that it is good for everybody, all parents. And that's why I love to host those summits, because we can get something based on our situation. So that means that for those who can do intermittent fasting and eat, starting at 11, and then, 11 to 7, to follow your routine, it is good to know that, it's possible, and then we can do it. But I wanted you to tell us, okay, you find a routine, a nutrition program that
Mhm.
fits, your being. So now, have you seen any any change in your relationship with your children?
Mhm. Well, I do think that yeah, I changed a lot of my things after my kids actually were out of the house as far as food and stuff like that. But because we homeschooled our kids, that changed the family dynamics of my relationship with my kids right away. So we homeschooled actually for 20 years. I didn't mean to homeschool for 20 years. It was never my goal. I was trying to fix a problem when my oldest son was in kindergarten, and he came home, and all I did was discipline him from the minute he got home until the minute he went to bed. It was just, it didn't work in our world. And so I was like, maybe if I homeschool. But then it dawned on me that I could create different relationships within my family by doing that, and that they could have different relationships with each other, and I could have different relationships with them. So that has definitely been probably the biggest blessing of our whole family dynamic and whatever. And now what I do is I encourage other moms to design their own family to the best that they can do that, to actually have an intentional thought about how they want their family to look. And then when it comes to the whole food situation, I feel like, you know, kids pay attention to what you do, not to what you say. And it doesn't matter their age. So even, my younger children, even though, I raised them with a certain way of eating, let's just say, and maybe it wasn't all so great. Um, as I switched that, even as I was older and they were older, they've totally paid attention, and they have definitely incorporated things into their life that is way healthier. I have a lot of health issues in my family. And like my father, he was diabetic, type 2 diabetic. Um, my sister, like I have things that propel me to make better choices. And because I did that, now I know my kids are making better choices for their food so that they can avoid some of those medical issues. I only take supplements. I don't take any prescription medications. I never thought that that was going to be me. I always assumed I was going to be a type 2 diabetic or have medical issues. But when I started to 11 years ago work on my supplementation journey, and then like 5 years ago work on my food journey, this is why now I work with moms one on one and give them recommendations, because I know that they can have different energy and different excitement. My cat is in the video. She says hi. Hi, Gracie.
Yeah, she's part of the family. She's good. She's good.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is, now I understand why you said that you don't eat, you eat only between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Did you always had that, or it was
No,
just because you were homeschooling?
no, I have not. I didn't even change that until actually only in the last few years, because hormones keep your body maybe sometimes from losing weight as easily, and so forth. No, actually, when we were homeschooling, it was kind of the opposite, but it was because you get up and you're going and you're busy, you know. But I do think that I was aware that in feeding my kids breakfast, that if I fed them real food like eggs, and vegetables and whatever, that their brains would work better. I did know that. So we didn't do a ton of cereal, but we definitely did do. I remember all the Fruity Pebbles and all of the things that they wanted me to buy. But you know, it's harder on your brain to function if you're eating a lot of processed kind of icky stuff in the mornings.
And I think that this is interesting, because when you said that you don't eat before 11 a.m., I said, oh, but for working parents, it's impossible because you have to leave early. But then,
Right.
as what you just said right now, it's not as much about the time, but about what you give
Very much so.
your children and your body, the nutrition. And I think that
Very
this is
much
that
so.
part that we need to be aware, is
Mm-hmm.
that when you eat, whenever the time it's sweet for you, but when you eat, you need to eat real food. So no
Right.
processed, avoid cereal, and now take eggs, or you can
Yeah.
eat oats. Do you have like maybe some ingredients that are good for the morning. So parents now, for example, tomorrow is going to be a day at school. So now parents are watching.
Mhm.
It's okay, let me try that. Tomorrow I'm going to give that meal to my child. Do you have
Right.
a
Right.
quick list?
Let me think about that for just a second. I think probably in my head, I always tend to lean towards eggs because they're so versatile. So you can do anytime that you're eating protein, it fills your tummy and it doesn't bog down your brain. And so, for instance, if you're having uh, any kind of sometimes, like even when I was in Europe a few years ago, they do a lot of meats in the morning. So they do uh, all different kinds of meat. So if you're doing any kind of an omelet and you're doing eggs with cheese and maybe some ham and some vegetables, like if you like onion or green pepper or whatever, and some cheese, you can really make yourself a nice breakfast. You could do it as an omelet. You could use it as eggs or as scrambled eggs, some sort of something like that. But then skip the toast, like forget about the bread, because it's I know it goes against maybe what we've been taught, that they need to have all of these, whole grains and whatever, but sometimes it's really hard on their digestive system. It's very foggy on their brain. I'm not recommending that you tell your children they should intermittent fast, but I am saying that when you do feed them a breakfast in the morning before school, that you give them something that's going to actually fuel their body. So I think the eggs probably is what comes to me the most. And you did recommend oats, or you talked about oats. Sometimes people do like overnight oats in their refrigerator, where they're using oats and then they're putting like either a milk or maybe an unsweetened coconut milk or something and some cinnamon and whatnot in there, and then they're letting that sit overnight, and then that can create kind of a little bit of a breakfast for them too. But it doesn't have to be hard. You could even use hard boiled eggs, so that they're ready to go. Make them the day before, have them ready in your refrigerator so that they can grab something like that, and maybe some berries, some good fruit, fruit and eggs, something like that. That would be way better than any cereal or bagel or muffin that you could ever give a child.
It is true. I was talking about oats because I tried that for my sons. They say oatmeal in the morning, oatmeal, but it was just that meal. So that's why I want you to give us more. But you said the omelette. I didn't know about the omelette. So it was, for example, oatmeal and blueberry. Either
Yeah.
oatmeal, blueberries. They said blueberry are great, especially for kids because the insulin is not rushing. So now the child can have energy throughout the morning. So
Right.
they were saying that. And now, also you just say eggs. And sometimes we say eggs, it's too early to eat eggs. But, even at that age, it's good because it will help them to perform and to be well at school in the morning.
Right. And also too, I think to think outside of the box, maybe we always think in terms of um, breakfast food. Well, you can have breakfast food, whatever that means, anytime that you want to. But you can also take, like, one of the things that I love to do is I'll take nuts, like let's say pecans, and and these are things that you could have made up. And you don't even have to sit down and have a hot breakfast. It doesn't have to be some elaborate whatever. But what if you took nuts, pecans, and you take coconut oil? And when you melt coconut oil, it makes it easy to mix in. But then when coconut oil goes back to its original form, it's firm. So one of my hacks that I do all the time for myself is I'll take nuts, sometimes I'll toast them, like in my air fryer or on my stove. And then I'll add in melted coconut oil, some sweetener, like I really do appreciate like the stevia sweeteners, the powdered sweeteners. Today we have sweeteners now that are a million times better than before. They're not toxic, and they are actually, like, stevia is a plant, monk fruit is a fruit. There are really good choices out there now as opposed to like years gone by. And you can use sweetener, cinnamon, nuts, coconut oil, mix it all up, and then maybe put it in the freezer or the refrigerator. And having nuts in the morning is a great way to fill your tummy so that they're not hungry 2 hours later necessarily, and add some fruit with that.
Yes, that is great. And I know that on your page you have many tips, and also you share all the meal that you eat. So I know that in your page also we can have more ideas about the meal.
Yeah.
Can you please now tell us about your free offer?
Yes, absolutely. So last year, I really recognized that there was a lot of stress going on because of the shutdowns. And because I'm very connected to a lot of homeschooling moms in my heart, I wanted to be able to help the homeschooling mom. But then now it has really turned into just moms in general for sure. Um, and I just saw a lot of stress because of the kids and the decisions that were being made for the school systems and whatnot. And they were maybe pulling their kids or all sorts of different scenarios. And I thought that if we needed anything for the mom, we needed maybe more peace. And so my husband happens to be in Christian radio. And it was, I think, last August or so, I said, I need to cut an audio that can be something that would bring peace, whether or not they listen to it for 10 minutes or for the whole 30 minutes, or to help them go to sleep. They can use this to just kind of take a deep breath. So, what came to me was to take ocean waves and mix it with Psalm 91. And Psalm 91 is a protection psalm. And then I added in some other scriptures at the end. And it's a tool to put into the toolbox of a mom so that she can kind of take a deep breath. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be for, more than 10 minutes or whatever, but maybe it's something she wants to just play in her home and change the atmosphere of her home. So it's called the Psalm 91 Project. It's completely free. It's something to just be able to help moms to maybe feel a little stronger, because life is a little goofy right now, a little crazy. And then I am able to use that and help the moms understand through like newsletters and stuff how to supplement and maybe take their bodies to another level, and their kids too, because kids need to supplement as well and have strong immune systems as we go into the fall.
That is good, mind and body. So that is good. Now that you are able to have a healthy body, you can have also a healthy mind. So that this is very good, relaxing, and everybody can enjoy. All those tips that you just share. It's not only for parents but also for children, because as you said, they're going to see what you do, and they will more likely do what you do than do what you say. So that this is really helpful. So thank you very much for those tips. Thank you very much for your time and for giving us, now that better understanding that it's possible to have a healthy professional life and also healthy
Yes.
family time when we are healthy in our body, but also in our mind through your Psalm 91 project. So thank you very much for that. And remember what we want you to have. We want you to have a healthier family relationship.
Yes.
And this is possible. You can have it in your professional life, but also in your family time. And to do that, what you need good health. So do not hesitate to contact Kirsten. She has also an Instagram page with a lot of pictures, a lot of videos, so you know what supplements to take, because she named so many supplements. You know what supplements to take, and also what meal you can, prepare and try for you and your family. So thank you again, Kristen, and remember, share the word, and we're going to know more about that topic, how to manage a successful family life and family time, tomorrow with another speaker. Thank you very much.